Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a huge topic, freedom. It's a word we all feel like we get, right? But what if the way we've always defined it just doesn't quite fit the world we're living in today?
So let's ask that question. What is freedom really? For centuries, some of the greatest minds have handed us these big, powerful ideas. But do those theories actually help us make sense of our lives? Right here, right now. On one side, you have the classic philosophy freedom from this, freedom to do that. It's the foundation of our rights, for sure. But there's a new way of looking at it, one that's way more concrete, more economic. Because let's be real, how free do you feel when you're buried in debt? Or when you know every click you make is being tracked somewhere? So in this explainer, we're going to walk through this new universal theory. We'll kick things off by rethinking freedom itself. Then we'll get into the core idea, an economy of initiative. After that, we'll break down its two key parts, risk and resources, and see how different societies handle them. We'll even explore this fascinating dictator's dilemma. And finally, we'll talk about what it actually takes to build a society that's genuinely free. All right, first up, rethinking freedom. It's time to get our hands dirty and move past just the abstract ideas. Here's the core issue. The gap between the old theories and our modern reality has gotten massive. I mean, the struggles of today, economic pressure, the sheer power of big tech, they all call for a new kind of framework, one that can actually measure the freedom we have and the freedom we might be losing. And that brings us right to this pragmatic new framework, the economy of initiative. This is the big idea that's going to guide us through the rest of this. So get this. The central point is that freedom isn't just some passive state of being. It's basically an economic calculation. It's the balance, the trade-off between the risk of doing something meaningful, what we'll call initiative, and the resources you have in your back pocket to deal with the fallout if things go south. This quote absolutely nails it. I mean, think about it. Are you really free to launch that startup or to stand up for what's right if you know that failing could mean losing your home, your savings, everything? This theory says no. Real freedom happens when the price of trying isn't personal ruin. Okay, so let's dig into this a little deeper. We're going to look at those two key variables, risk versus resources. Think of them as the price you pay and the currency you pay with to take action. So every important thing you might want to do has a price tag, and that price is risk. Take political initiative. For someone like Alexei Navalny, the risk was literally his life. For an entrepreneur, the risk is their entire financial future. For an artist pushing boundaries, it could be their reputation. Heck, even just stepping in to defend someone from a bully carries the social risk of becoming an outcast. The higher that risk, the less free you really are to act. So, how do you afford to pay for that risk? Well, that's where your resources come in. And this is key. We're talking about so much more than just money in the bank. Yeah, financial capital is the obvious one, but there's also social capital, your network, your good name, human capital, the skills and know-how you've got, and even psychological capital, your own inner strength and optimism. This is exactly why poverty is such a brutal form of control. It starves people of the resources they need to take any kind of risk at all. Okay, so this is where it gets really fascinating. This whole model scales up from you and me to entire countries. Let's look at how different societies manage risk, comparing autocracies and democracies. So check this out. On one side, you've got authoritarian regimes. Their whole goal is to crush personal initiative. And how do they do it? By making risk as high and as personal as possible. Think about it. Vague laws against extremism, scary show trials on TV. It's all designed to make the price of stepping out of line totally unpredictable and absolutely terrifying. Now flip that coin. Mature democracies try to encourage initiative. They work to minimize and institutionalize risk with things like the rule of law, fair courts, and social safety nets. It doesn't mean there's no risk, but it makes the cost of failure survivable. And this all leads to this incredible, almost predictive idea, something we can call the dictator's dilemma. It's about why it's basically impossible to separate one kind of freedom from another. See, a lot of authoritarian leaders have this dream. They want a dynamic, innovative economy, but they also want to keep absolute political control. They want citizens who are brilliant entrepreneurs, but also totally silent subjects. This model shows us exactly why that's a house of cards that just can't stand up forever. Just look at the story of South Korea and Taiwan. Both were dictatorships that, for a time, managed to create incredible economic growth. But in doing that, they built up a prosperous middle class that was loaded with resources, financial capital, social capital, the works. And guess what? Those new resources inevitably empowered people to start demanding more political initiative, safer ways to speak up and participate. That led directly to peaceful democratization. You just can't give people the resources to take risks in business without them eventually using those same resources to take risks in politics. So, what's the big takeaway here? In our final section, we're going to see that building a free society isn't something that just happens. Freedom, it turns out, is a system that we have to build ourselves. If there is one thing you remember from this whole explainer, let it be this. Freedom is not the default setting for humanity. It's not a natural state. It's a complex piece of social, legal, and economic machinery that we have to consciously design, build, and most importantly, maintain. And what's the main goal of all that building and designing? It's this simple, powerful idea. A truly free society is obsessed, totally, utterly obsessed with lowering the cost of failure. It does this by creating strong safety nets, like unemployment insurance and public health systems. It ensures people against the kinds of disasters that can wipe them out completely. And by doing all that, it creates a culture that encourages the very boldness and initiative that makes life better for everyone. So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Using this whole framework of risk in resources, what's one barrier, just one thing, that's making it too risky for people to take initiative in our society today? And what can we do to lower it? Because finding the answer to that might just be the next step toward building a freer world for all of us.